Every once in a while you'll get a sync error and you'll just have to keep doing it again, or worst comes to worst, we have to delete the entire folder and completely reset up the sync again. All right, once the syncing is done, it should have only done the files that need to be populated unless you had to start over from scratch. If you have something that causes an error that can't be rectified, sometimes we'll have to delete the entire sync record, which will require us to delete this entire folder. So if you have that problem, we suggest that what you do is come to us and we'll take care of it. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll go to this connect button down here at the bottom and I'll show you the sync records. We have save servers, which yours should already be hooked up, sync records. So I would delete this sync record and start all over again. And if I did need to start all over again, I can go into the synced record here and pick whatever I need. For example, I want to add the supplemental training material folder back to what I have. And so I'm going to hit download or sync, and I'm going to put that in this main folder here. And it will start downloading that folder. If I go up here to this upper right hand side to this kind of eject button, it'll kind of go backwards for me. And then if I go to my sync records, it should show up. But it's not a synced records, it'll start to download right here. Inside the supplemental training folder is a short video on EFB How To's, as well as the ground eval file, which is in here, and a little study guide, which in here is more for those that have been through training or doing follow-on training, to give you some memory joggers. Otherwise, this ground eval guide is going to have a lot of the questions and information that you might see here in a check ride. This is not where all your check ride questions will come, but a lot of these questions will be an easy way to study for all the stuff that you might want. Some evaluators will go through these questions because it's a lot of the simple information that you might need. If you open up your AMC EPUBs folder, you have a lot of folders in here that you can see. Easiest thing to do is if you go and open the C5M index batch of files. But anyway, here in the flight index, you can see all the different files that you might need in your iPad. So up there in the top is all your -1 stuff and quick references. So your -1, your 1-1 for your basic performances, and actual flight manual. Over here on the left side, you have your regulations. So training is Vol 1, evaluations of Vol 2, and operations of Vol 3. If you look in the AFMAN 11.2 C5 Vol 3, that'll be your Bible and where things are going to all happen. It's going to have a lot of your rules and restrictions and different ways that you operate the airplane. Also, another good item to look at is the AFTTP 3-3, which is your tactics, techniques, and procedures, which shows you a variety of ways to operate the airplane. For the pilots, there's a lot of good information on how to fly, how to do terrain masking, how to stay away from missiles and such, but there's also an air refueling section on how to do air refueling. All right, one of the biggest sections in the book here is the taxi and operations, which tells you a lot of your limitations, procedures, general diagrams, and lots of pictures on what you should be looking for when you're taxiing. After taxiing, another big section here is the tactics section, which will have all the different techniques and procedures for how to do your tactics, give you the numbers and the math on how to do each of those procedures and how to fly the airplane. All right, for everybody involved, another thing is the standard terminology section that's there in the back. Your evaluators and instructors should be kind of harping on these things as well. There are certain ways that the community has set standards on how to talk and what to say when you are operating the airplane. Any crew member should be able to work with any other crew member. Those expectations are here in the back of the book with how to set, arm, engage, or do different buttons, or heading select, or operating the autopilot, and expectations for what to say. So there are very specific things that should be said or done, and they're here in the back of the 3-3. All right, here in the -1, one of the things you'll notice here, if you look on the sides, is you have some quick select buttons that generally will work. Most of the time you should be able to select on one of the things in the table of contents, and that should bring you to that page. But also if you look on the side, you have section 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, which will allow you to select those buttons and get directly to those sections. You'll notice that section 3 is in red, so that you can get to that very important section very quickly. Once you are inside of a document, you notice that if you kind of tap on a clear area, you can see the stuff that's on the top and the bottom. So if you already have some documents open, you can use the tabs on the top and select the different documents, and you can open up between different documents that are already open, such as your checklist and your flight manual. You can close those documents. If you go down here at the bottom, say I open up my flight manual, I can use the search function down here at the bottom. and I can search for any kind of particular thing. You can also bookmark different pages and add names to those bookmarks, which will bring you to the specific spot. And there are a few other functions that you can run through, such as looking at your page view and changing that. If you are in a book and you want to get out of it and go all the way back, I suggest that you tap on an empty area and hit the X in the upper left, and that'll bring you back to your original opening location here. And so this is your folder. Now here we're going to look at the file structure. So we have lots of different things here, from aeromedical evacuation, the all global, the C5M, the foreign clearance guide, the local supplemental stuff, giant reports, and flip. I suggest you go through all of those to see what's going on. If you go to the C5M, you have a lot of the C5 specific stuff, including the flight manual, which is in FM, which is where you can find the -1, all your checklists, fan folds, and the 1-1. And here you'll find things like the C5M component location guide, the 3-3, some addendums to the 11.2 C5 Vol 3. The actual Vol 1s, 2s, and 3s are in this section here because they're very C5 specific, obviously. Another big one is the SIM guides here. And inside of here, you'll find all of the student guides for all of the courses. So whether you're an initial qual or in a follow-on course, you can come through here and kind of look at it, such as the IP student guide, and it'll pop up and it'll show you the different things in the IP student guide. All right, and now another good important book is if you go to the local training folder for Kelly here, you can get some of the things like the OGI is in here if you happen to want to look at some of the local features and supplements. But especially for the pilots, one of the useful documents that you'll look into is the Kelly Tactical FLIMSY. And here on the Tactical FLIMSY, you'll have different local guidance information. At the bottom usually is a home menu to kind of get you back to this page, but you can go to different pages and get airfield information. The default one is Kelly Field. You can also go to the tactical card. If you click on that, I can go to the home menu, and I can get TAC FLIMSY, so I can get different information on the tactics, all just pulled out of the 3-3, so it's kind of in one spot. I can get common use for airfield information, so if I'm going to go to Robert Gray, I can look up all that Robert Gray information. And I can get my FTU guide, which will have kind of the AFIF, which is guidance for how the actual flights will be flown. For example, if I go to PAR, it'll tell me the different things that I should expect on each day of on the flight line in PAR.